Okay, friends, we are back. Did you miss me? Because I missed you. We are on episode 1, season 3. I got that right. Season 3 of the Pro Aging Podcast. And I thought I would start off this third season with a colleague, a friend, and someone who really the only way I can get to see her socially, because she's so busy and famous now, is to actually do business with her, get her on my podcast. And this lovely journalist and OG of the beauty industry is Jessica Matlin. Now, I've known Jessica for a long time. We started working together, I would say many years ago, as a beauty writer. She actually ended up becoming the beauty director at Harper's Bazaar, which was arguably one of the most prominent beauty magazines in the days of print. Now, she is one of these unique characters that started out in the old school print supermodel promotion aspect of beauty, and she really developed during the evolution of beauty into online shopping, print. When people were just blogging still, she actually co-founded an extremely prominent voice on the social media platform, which is Fat Mascara. She started this in 2016. She co-founded it. It has really become a staple of the beauty industry, talking about new technologies, skincare. She's interviewed a lot of famous people, from Bobby Brown to Jane Fonda to Kim Kardashian. I even heard Dr. Paul Jared Frank was on it years ago. But aside from all that, she's continued to evolve in her career. She is now Director of Beauty and Home, which is a new addition to her title for Moda Operandi, which is really the online destination for all things beauty. And most importantly, she's here with me today. I'm so proud to have you, my friend, my colleague, and maybe my boss one day. Thank you for coming.
That would be a feat. I don't think anybody can boss you around.
I don't know about that. I could use some little bossing, but thank you for coming.
I am so excited to be on the season premiere, season 3. Yeah. That's amazing. Consistency is everything.
That's right.
So to be consistent at this, and podcasting is very hard work. People don't realize that.
But you're actually getting interviewed when you're used to being the interviewee.
It's kind of terrifying.
Interviewer. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't let this happen a lot, so it's only because I love you that this is actually happening.
I remember very clearly coming on the Fat Mascara in the early days.
It was our old studio.
Yeah, probably not famous enough to be on it now, but I remember we talked about like minimally invasive liposuction.
We had like different titles then. We tried to be like very quirky with our titles and like pick out one little thing that someone said and make it a title. Now we know that's very bad for SEO.
Yeah.
But it was called like filling, and you said like I do filling
and sucking. That's right.
Because we thought that was hilarious. So the title was filling and sucking. I don't know if that's still the title.
Isn't it amazing how rapidly things are changing now?
Well, that's a really good example because it was a long time ago, but it wasn't 10 years ago. It was less than 10 years ago. And now
feels 20.
Yeah, it does. And I feel like I look different. My life is so much different. My job was different. The studio we don't record in that studio or with that company anymore. And it's like, everything is so different, and we would never dream of like, let's call the episode Filling and Sucking. Like, no, we just wouldn't do that.
What worked even 6 months ago doesn't work now in beauty and in everything, right?
Yeah, everything changes so much, and it's this industry is unrecognizable from not even when I started, but like 3 years ago.
This is what I think is so unique about your perspective, because you have like the old school front, and they're kind of like, they've evolved out of the industry. We know a lot of people like that. Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of the new people that they only know the social media, the influencers, the online shopping. Mm-hmm. You're one of the very rare few that was like trained in the old school and has evolved into the new school, which I think gives you a very unique perspective on things, which is why
I just haven't left. Like I refuse.
They can't get rid of you.
Yeah, it's like Cher and cockroaches, right?
Yeah. When did you like? Was it purposeful that you got into beauty writing? I assume this wasn't your goal 20 years ago, how it is now. You couldn't have predicted it. Tell me how you got into it.
Well, I don't think I would have predicted necessarily like this specific role at Moda, and I wouldn't have predicted, I'm going to be in podcasting, which is, it's funny. I interviewed with Anna Wintour once, and she asked you. It's a terrifying interview. Yeah. And she asked me right before I thought I was just through. The interview, I was like, please, like, is this over now? Like, white knuckling it. And she said, where do you see yourself? And it's funny, you prepare all these questions.
Yeah, of course.
And the one question one of the questions I didn't prepare for was the classic, where do you see yourself in 5 years? and she asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I just went blank, and then like it felt like an hour, but it was probably just like 5 seconds.
Right.
And I said, I don't really know.
Right.
I did end up getting the job. It was for Teen Vogue.
Was it a very like Devil Wears Prada feeling,
it
like
felt that
intimidating?
Way, she was
like
totally nice. Like she was completely lovely during the interview, but it just felt intimidating because it's Anna Wintour. And I said, I don't know. I was like 5 years ago, I didn't have a podcast.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known I'm going to have a it was like nobody knew about podcasts. Right. So if you ask me now, what are you going to be doing in 5 years? I actually don't know because
we don't know what the landscape's going to be.
It changes so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's good and bad. You just have to be engaged and wanting enough to be able to adapt.
Yeah. You just have to want to be there.
Yeah.
And you just have to be open.
Yeah. What was your first job in beauty? Were you as a writer, right?
My first job in beauty was actually as an assistant. I can't lie because people are listening. It was as an assistant, like a true assistant. I was not very good. Yeah. And I quit. Yeah. I quit before they could fire me.
And then how did you get into
the right environment?
How'd you get into the writing of it?
Well, I really wanted to write, and as an intern, they let me write a lot. I was actually an intern at Harper's Bazaar. Yeah. I had the most amazing boss. Her name was Carrie Diamond, and she actually has her own like empire now called Cherry Bomb. It's a food magazine. So she was in beauty, and she evolved. She did brand work at like fashion companies and everything, and then she went to start Cherry Bomb, which is this really successful food empire. But so then when I was an assistant, I'm just not a very kind of like organized person in that way. So it was the wrong job for me. And then I was very lucky. I got thrown a bone. And as somebody who I knew from when I was an intern hired me at W. Her name's Jane Larkworthy.
Oh, yes, of course.
Jane Larkworthy.
Yeah, we know Jane.
She threw me.
Oh, yes.
She gave me the opportunity of a lifetime.
She was a mentor.
She was my mentor. And she let me write full stories, and this was when print had
the heyday,
big fat pages to fill.
Oh my God, I remember you just wanted to be in Vogue, WWD, Bazaar. This was it. Yeah. To be, as if you were a doctor. And again, there weren't even the cosmetic industry, coming from my perspective, forget about skincare. There weren't that many things to talk about. There were some. Yeah. It was like the start, like things like this thing called Botox, this thing called filler. There's more than one laser on the market, and all of a sudden, there's all this content that is available, and to be in the print era.
It was
exciting.
My colleague wore the free T-shirt that said Botox and rhinestones, ironically, every day.
It's exciting.
It was really, it was like this new thing. And W, I'm really glad that we're talking because this is like you're the perfect person to talk to. W wrote about them more seriously, but also kind of with a little bit of a sense of humor than any other publication. It was not your color destination or your hair destination. It was like these readers have money to spend and they want to know who the top surgeons and derms are. So
that was about, it's funny, around 2000, early 2000s.
That was my time. Yeah.
That was it. And, it was taboo to talk about cosmetic surgery before then.
Right, but we did it with like a wink. It was like, these amazing visuals, working with art directors and photographers to do like cheeky.
Stephen Klein was doing photos for this highly art directed fashion things of like nurses and operating rooms and all these amazing spreads. But it's amazing how the switch of acceptability, and even now where it's the med spa culture, and now it's like bathroom reading Botox and filler. It's no longer has to be so stylized.
And I always felt a little bit kind of like, not an imposter, but like I was in my, when I started there, I was 21. Yeah. So I felt a little bit like, who am I to be interviewing, Dr. Jerry Imber?
And he's going to plastic surgeon at the time.
And he's going to tell me all these things, and I'm going to deliver this information to my readers who are in their 40s and up, and I'm like barely able to drink. Yeah. And now it's really interesting to see that this content about plastic surgery, injectables, is being consumed by people who are barely able to drink, and it's being written about by people who are barely able to drink
and certainly don't need it.
And it's so it's. My paradigm is just so different as a journalist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I think this is true. we've had this discussion before, but your feeling of like, who am I to do this? That imposter syndrome, they call it, is very typical of all success people. Yeah. And you will have that for a very long time. And I think that's a sign that you're always looking to impress yourself in the sense of trying to do better and am I worthy, and all those type of things. So not only were you in the heyday, but you really, as beauty director at Harper's Bazaar, you were really there at that tipping point between print and digital.
Yeah, so that was 15 plus years later. Yeah. So I definitely had time in between to think and get kicked around and have some bad experiences and good experiences. The print digital thing was interesting, and it was a tipping point. You saw, the digital story starting to get a lot of attention. The print was not just Harper's Bazaar. Certainly, I don't want to pick on Harper's Bazaar, and it was an amazing experience, and I got to do some of the best stories in my life there. But seeing what people were responding to and people being able to really, I want to collect my thoughts. With print, you saw, having fewer pages.
Right. You had to dress to impress more to get the readership. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You had to dress. I remember that. It was like, what do we have to do to get there? Because there's just people had less attention span.
Less attention span, and you started to see the beginning of, it's certainly not what it is now, but like micro trends and responding to things. Okay, Rihanna's doing this, or this happened to this celebrity, and this plastic surgery situation. We're still operating on a 3-month lead time, but the world does not operate on a 3-month lead time anymore.
Unbelievable, right? I remember that.
And also, magazines are just, like you said, it's like an attention economy now. And even like, I was talking to someone today, and they're like, well, I want a TV show that I could watch while I'm looking at my phone. That's like the perfect TV show. And when I heard that, I'm like, we're done for. We are done for.
I know. That's crazy.
So do you want a magazine you could read while you're also looking at your phone? Like,
it's crazy.
It's just,
It's astonishing.
Yeah.
Fat Mascara, when you developed it, did it change your perspective on things, the response to it? Seeing how, because you were really one of the very early, you went from a writer to a different type of voice. And you had a partner.
Yeah.
Jen, who was also a very successful writer and editor.
Yeah, for sure.
How did your voice changed? How did that affect the trajectory?
I think like my voice was just like let out. Like it wasn't like it was changed. I think I was at 𝐒𝐯𝐿 when I was when I started Fat Mascara. So like in short, I was listening to a lot of podcasts that were, about music or books and art. Most of them were by men, and they were talking to artists, and they were like, I would just listen to them for like hours, and I was like, I want to talk to beauty people about this. I want to talk to surgeons, makeup artists, founders. The perfect example that I always use was like Terry 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐻, who we still have not had on the podcast. Oh my God.
Tell the audience who
I know,
that is.
Terry 𝐸𝐸𝐻𝐻. She is the founder of By Terry. She is not, she's not a pop star. She's not like, she's a private type of person, but like when I would talk to her on appointments, I remember one time she was like, and this product I created, and I used it. She created YSL Touche Éclat, which is a famous product, but she's like, I created this product for my line, like something, like used it like on the set. I don't want to get this totally wrong, but something like this, like of like blue velvet, something like me and David Lynch would like talk about this. And I was like, what? And it's like such a cool backstory. She just knows, because she was an amazing makeup artist. She would talk to me about these stories like David Lynch and all her products that inspired. I was like, that is wild. And at the time I was at 𝐒𝐯𝐿, not only did I'm holding my fingers like an inch, this much to write any kind of like quote from an artist. You're going to get one line, and it's going to be the broadest quote or like a service quote. But you're not going to get any personality from all these incredible people.
Yeah, and hear amazing stories.
I want these stories out there. So where am I going to put them? And that's what I was like, we need a show, something like this. So fast forward, Fat Mascara, and people didn't know what a podcast was. I didn't tell anybody at 𝐒𝐯𝐿 that I was doing it. And then like the day it dropped, I was like, guys, so I launched this podcast today. People are like, what? Yeah. They didn't even know what it was. And it was a very slow burn. People did not, like PRs didn't necessarily know what they were doing, what they're signing their clients up for, if it was video, if they had to dress up for it. But it just kind of snowballed. Yeah. And it was like this really great thing for me.
Yeah. And you've had some amazing people on it from all, it's all like a form of grooming now. It's not just like skincare versus cosmetic surgery versus other forms of beauty. It's just this whole kind of world of aesthetics, and it's constantly evolving and changing. How did you, having recognition as a beauty director, having an audience that was recognized, because now you have kind of like street cred, you got a following, people know that you interview well-known people. What was the transition? You're now on the other side of it. You're not writing about it. You're involved in the operations of the commoditization of beauty.
You mean like? Sorry, I don't want to make you like repeat your question, but what do you mean? Like
You're now on more of like the development and sales side of things. You used to write about it almost in a trying to be objective about things, learning about things, and now you're more on the business side at Moda Operandi, which really is kind of like your Moda job. You're really now at like one of the leading destinations for all things beauty, and that business is dramatically evolving. I mean, now there's home. You're providing information, your online sales, all these things. How is that from being the objective observer?
Sorry. Okay, I get it. Sorry. Yeah. So now being involved on the business side is really great because it's like the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. The numbers tell the truth. Yeah. I think with writing, which I still love writing, and I want to find a way at some point in my life to write again because I do miss that, but it's not, it's like there's a season for everything. That's what I'm like learning.
Is there editorial stuff on Moda?
There is, but I'm not the head of editorial. I work very closely with editorial.
Do you judge it?
Well, one thing, I read a book like right before I started, and like one of the books, I don't want to like say the book because I don't want it's like too embarrassing. But I did read a book. My friends recommended it to me, and like one of the first chapter was like, "Do not get involved in anything that had to do with your old job because like people will like hate you."
Yeah. That's very good advice because the temptation is there, right?
Yeah. Well, I was like, I have a new job now, but our editorial team is great, and I love them so much, and I really adore them. So.
You must be learning a lot though, because again, you didn't know the numbers before.
No.
You knew what was hot, you knew what was trendy. You may have known what was successful, but when you know the numbers, it really changes the reality on things.
Yeah, but I'm still learning. Like this is like an amazing, this is an amazing growth opportunity for me as well. But so I'm coming in as a student, but I'm learning a lot, and the numbers don't lie. So seeing what sells and what doesn't, seeing what people respond to, but also, just like looking under the hood of a business and working with the founders in a different way is,
it's unique.
It's unique. It's not, you're not sort of, I'm not getting flown around on press trips.
That's right. No boondoggles. I bet you
No, but that's my favorite word, boondoggle.
Boondoggle, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like going off on a ski vacation on like some company's bill.
No.
I bet you've had these times where you've thought to yourself, the old Jessica would be shocked knowing the numbers information about certain brands. Right, the old Jessica, like if I had known this when I was that age, or
Well, I think I'm mostly impressed. I'm making it sound like, oh, the numbers don't lie.
No, but
I'm mostly like really, I'm impressed by a lot, and I'm sorry, just make it sound like the numbers don't lie and these brands are like shitty. Like
not at all. The numbers don't lie. It's that like some things may be surprise hits that don't get as much pizzazz and publicity, and other ones get a lot of pizzazz and publicity and aren't doing as well as the public thinks.
Yeah.
And I think having that unique perspective as like someone who used to write about the marketing and the buzz now really knows like
so let me say it like this. Okay. Yeah. So something that is just really exciting is like seeing how much, when I say the numbers don't lie, it's like seeing the difference between buzz and reality.
That's what I mean.
So yeah, like, you know, seeing like, yeah, like an Instagram post from like one of our, you know, most influential people can like really move something. So something that I thought really moved something, it doesn't really, you know, something I thought was a hot product maybe is not so hot. A brand that I thought was on fire, maybe, you know, maybe I could wait. A brand that I thought was like a sleeper, I cannot wait. I must have them today. You know, so it's exciting, and working also with fashion, and you know, now I'm in home and our private client advisors, which like these are
what's a private client
our
advisor?
Private client advisors are our tops. You know, they sell to our most valuable clients. That has been such a thrilling experience.
Really?
So this is something this is a part of my job that certainly I was not going to have exposure to before.
You weren't prepared for. I'm really tempted on asking her which of the surprises, the buzzes, but I know her job will probably get mad at her.
They will kill me.
I can't actually. I know you're all thinking that, like, what sucks that we thought was great, or what is great that we thought would suck, but we're not going to get into that. Now tell me a little bit about this now expansive role of the home. This is like...
Yeah, so Moda Home is, you know, we have so many beautiful designers, and, you know, we carry just, you know, beautiful everything from art to, you know, tabletop to, you know, decor.
Has this been around for a while?
It's been around, yeah. It's been around for a while. So now I'm going to be overseeing this and bring in some new brands. And of course, we have Moda Domus, which is our own private label, and then also we have an amazing collaboration with Tiffany. So.
Do you think you ever, and again, you may be involved in this already, but given your perspective of the buzz side and the number side and the business side, you're uniquely angled, in my opinion, into skincare development. And do you have an input of that now?
Developing my own skincare?
No, not your own. Of just like, because you say there's a private label line. Like, do you have any insight into that, or that's kind of like not part of your role in terms of helping to develop the private line?
Well, we don't have a private line for beauty. We only have one private label line, and that's that's home.
Oh, that's home. You're not designing furniture.
No, not.
But who knows? I mean,
our Moda Domus line does amazing. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so that's very exciting.
Now, do you think, like we said, the transition of the reader, the consumer, has such a short attention span? That's been one of the major shifts between print and long lead, and the short attention span of digital, and things get published tomorrow and then it's the news is gone.
Yeah.
Do you find that skincare and beauty also has that short attention span? What's hot now, like a month later, is gone?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what's really tricky for brands, because before there was so much brand loyalty, and I think that's what you see.
Yeah, like the La Mers of the world, people.
Yeah, you see a lot of just like hopscotching from brand to brand, and that's with trends. I mean, if you want to look at like the fashion cycle, you know, it's Mob Wife, it's Quiet Luxury, it's everything Oxblood, it's this, it's, you know, Prairie, you know, cottage core. Like, I think people are, it's fine, and it's cute, and it's, you know, it's harmless. But I think if you are a brand that is about, you know, loyalty, routine, replenishment, and it's not about trend, you're not a fast fashion brand, that is, how do you build loyalty in that space? And that's tricky, and you even see it in like a practitioner space, I'm sure, because absolutely. People are looking for... You have to
constantly stay on the cutting edge.
Yeah, on the cutting edge, you have, I mean, people aren't hopscotching dentists, at least not to my knowledge, or their GPs, but when people look at medicine, or they look at something that I thought was kind of like, no offense, but as boring as skincare a long time ago, now they're looking to be like delighted and to get like a dopamine hit.
That's right. I agree.
Constantly.
Yeah. And it's funny.
From a needle, from a laser. You
said a minute ago that it's harmless, this kind of short attention span thing. But from a clinical standpoint, the short attention span of skincare transition and changing and constantly trying. I mean, the average person woman may try 8 different products in a year, all these things. It's actually terribly detrimental to the skin, because no matter how organic or clean or whatever marketing term they use to make people feel they're using great ingredients on their skin, you're still challenging the body with chemicals. And to me,
that's a great perspective. You're challenging the body with chemicals.
Yeah, and every
challenge. It's not trying on a new sweater.
No, you're not trying on a new sweater, which, by the way, changing clothes can do that constantly too. Changing seasons. Your body, your skin is the largest organ and is essentially a hide that has to accommodate and adapt to its environment.
Hide.
Which basically, whether it's change of seasons, or change of skincare. And one of the most common problems that any dermatologist would say right now, general or cosmetic, is sensitive skin syndrome.
Oh, it's the biggest thing.
Everyone. I have sensitive skin. Who doesn't say they don't have sensitive skin?
I don't know one person who wouldn't be interested in a sensitive skin product right now.
Well, guess what? Unfortunately, that's the consumer market. What people want to sell is, if you have sensitive skin, sell another product. When someone comes into me with sensitive skin, I ask them to, next time you come in, bring in everything you're using. I want a list of everything.
Back up the truck.
And then literally what I do is I open the garbage pail and I say, I'm curing your sensitive skin syndrome. We are throwing it all the way. We are taking a drug holiday. We're taking a skincare holiday. And we're going to, listen, if you have acne, if you have eczema, if you have rosacea, obviously we're going to use pharmaceutical medicine to treat the problem. Yeah. But if you're like your average person with average skin, get rid of it all, because the problem is what you're doing, and the consumerism and the marketing and the constantly trying the hottest thing. Yeah. So I usually get people, it's like that concept of like the Korean 13-step skincare. Yeah. That is not good for you.
No, I'm not a proponent of that at all.
So I think that is one of the harmful things about the short attention span everyone's afraid of chemicals and toxins and all these things, but they're willing to go to 5 different doctors to inject Botox into them, and they're willing to put 20 different products on their skin in a year, and that's not necessarily good for the long-term health.
They don't need it. And I think find something you love, find a few things you love.
Exactly. That's
and finish it. It's not.
Yeah, or do it forever. The rule of KISS. Remember pro-aging?
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
that's right. She was in the book, people. She was in the book. Okay.
Keep it simple, stupid. And I think, and I love product. I love really nice product. And I try different things. I dabble because I have to try. But people often ask me, people sometimes ask me.
It's the writer in you.
Yeah. People sometimes ask me, what do you use? And I always feel like I leave them really underwhelmed, because I'm like, it's not that much.
It's not that much.
I don't want my skin to go crazy, and I also I don't have time,
Less is more.
Yeah.
I think that people have to start wrapping their head around that concept.
But there's so much, it's also a little bit of people, once you like a little bit of, and I'm not telling anyone anything they don't know, but if they're into beauty, they're getting served more. So the algorithm is pushing.
Of course.
And, but it's gotten, I think the whole space has gotten way too crowded, and everyone has an opinion, and I think it's too much information and bad information.
It may swing in the other direction, like all things, whether it's politics or everything. Yeah. You get, it goes in one direction or the other. I tell people, listen, if skincare serves you on an emotional level, because people like to groom. Cats like to lick themselves. Dogs like to lick each other. Yeah. Humans like to have intimate contact. Yeah. I do believe there is a self-care dopamine thing. And I think if it's not harmful to you and it's not creating a problem, skincare, makeup, these are things to soothe you and make you feel good. But if you're going to do it to the point where you're complaining of sensitive skin and just looking to chase your tail around.
Like if you're a hobbyist.
Yeah. And I think, excuse me, this will bring me to the next question, which is about the boom in youth culture and beauty. I mean, you see 13-year-old girls online at Sephora.
Yeah, this is...
We're seeing this in clinical aesthetic medicine too, like 19-year-olds who want their lips done and they think they need Botox at a young age. Tell me about what you're seeing in the beauty market in the youth.
So we had on Fat Mascara, we've talked about this ad nauseum. This is one representative, so I'm not putting too much on this. We had our intern come on to be a voice of the people.
Is she 10? How old is she?
She's in college. And she was like, I don't think that this is happening as much as people say. I think that this is this is a little bit of like a confirmation bias. Like they're talking to like people, maybe the journalist's daughter, or
right.
Something
it's like you hear about one 10-year-old
right.
that is buying, getting Botox, and all of a sudden a journalist says, this is a trend.
Right, exactly.
You know this.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because of course, yeah. Like, oh, I happen to know these sources. These are the daughters of, all of the women who work in the magazine.
Yeah, this happens all the time in beauty, right? You read about it on the front page of the styles section, like everyone's doing this, and it's like two people.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think that this is like, you just look on TikTok, you can see like, loads of people are buying brand X that were probably all coming to mind, or this is very much a thing. I do think that this is.
Do you see your consumers on Moda?
Moda is our median client is 38 years old. Moda is not for
You're not
kids.
like, but do you track people's age?
Yeah,
the buyers?
yeah.
You can't. You are.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, not when you click. When you shop, it doesn't say how old are you, but we do know our age, and our age is we don't target young people. It's also a very high price point, like the average. So it's different than like a Sephora or an Ulta.
Gotcha.
But I think here's my problem, and I'm it's a little hypocritical because I was obsessed with beauty from as long as I can remember.
You had a skincare fridge when you were a teenager?
I took the skincare samples out of my mom's room. I said, can I have these? She said, yeah. I was maybe 10 or 11.
Really?
But yeah, I mean, the Estee Lauder, the Clinique, like I was so obsessed with skincare and beauty. Like I was so obsessed with this world. But for me, it was about this like little like luxury, or a little escapism, a little like thing for myself. It was not what I'm seeing is, and I have looked a lot at TikTok about this because I've been very concerned as somebody who has like a daughter who just turned 4 that I feel like I'm going to blink and then she's going to be 8 and then she's going to be 12.
Asking for Botox.
Yeah. She's going to be like, hey, Paul Frank. Okay? So I think where it's coming from, for some people, I'm sure it is that, oh, these are so cute. They're colorful. Collect them all. Like, it's Sephora. It looks so really exciting and pretty. It looks like a toy store. Like, my daughter goes through my makeup bag and she's 4 and she goes, can I put, but I think what's happening is there is like a moving the goalposts younger and younger to anti-aging.
Yes.
And when I talk,
which I hate that term.
I know you hate it, but it's appropriate, like in this usage. I never thought about getting old, and my colleagues, I think a lot of them never thought about getting old, or like any of this stuff 20 years ago. Yeah. I think it was still like we would go to the events for all of these injectables, and the 20-something-year-old beauty editors would be half tuned out.
Right, because it's not appropriate for them.
Boring.
Yeah, youth is wasted on the young. Yeah, they're not even thinking that they're going to need wrinkles. That's for old people.
It was like, I don't want to write the anti-aging story. Oh,
I know. Now it's the most exciting thing. And 19-year-olds come in, they're fearful of getting old. I'm like, that's so sad.
And when I think about 20-year-olds or like even teenagers, like knowing, like, we didn't want to know words like hyaluronic acid. It was too boring. It was too long. Like, all of that stuff was so unsexy, so unfun. And that stuff that fact that this is appealing to these people, if this is taking up their brain space, like why? I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Yeah. Well, the problem is...
Sorry, I sound very like old and crotchety, but I'm just like, why are we making like getting older like scary?
I know. This is why I love you so much, because you need a voice like yourself because what's happening in boardrooms is, I know what happens, because I see little makeup fridges that look like little Barbie pink fridges. It's not something that a 40-year-old woman would have in their kitchen. It's something like a 13-year-old girl would have. I think companies are going to think they're going to have it both ways. While there's nothing, that's the thing. It's like I do feel a little conflicted because
I did love those products, and I don't think if my daughter's like, I want the baby cutie pie cream, I'm not going to be like,
oh no, of course not.
The patriarchy wins. Like I'm not going to say that.
But a depuffing eye mask at 12 years old may be like
anything that feels corrective or
not just corrective, but it could actually change, like lip plumpers.
That's where it feels there's a fine line. It's like you kind of know it when you see it, and if you don't know it when you see it, it's like, are you paying attention?
Yeah. No, I hear you, and I think it's a problem that it's a conversation that's evolving, and I hope there are more of professional writers, editors, people in your business, and physicians, and makeup artists, and skincare experts that are gonna kind of make sure that it doesn't get out of control, because it's starting to.
I think a lot of people honestly, I think they just think it's cute, and I don't think they mean anything by it, but I think it's like it kind of can seep.
Yeah. Are there any other trends other than this youthful thing that you may be seeing?
I think like on a brighter note, I do think that like while that is kind of like what's gonna happen, like watch the space with all the kid stuff, I think there truly is a movement of people who are like, I'm good, like I want to age how I'm gonna age, and like they may be fine. That doesn't mean like they're gonna swear off Botox or
I see the same thing in my practice. People are saying like, there's nothing wrong with aging. I'm not trying to be 20. I just want to do like the best I can along the way.
They're not like going crazy, and I think they're like, I'm not trying to just be nice, but like everything that you talked about in the Pro Aging Playbook, which I thought was an amazing book. It's like they're rethinking their relationships. They're rethinking their stress levels. It's like they're looking at aging in a different way that is not just about
vanity.
Yeah.
Vanity.
Yeah, and so the aging conversation, I think, has gotten a lot more nuanced in one way, and also is getting a little funky right now. With all the
again, I always like to say, I think you want to look at aging as maintaining vitality.
Yeah.
Not feeling the abuses of vanity and lost past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And wanting to stay vital. I think that's important.
I think it's good. I think it's very interesting. And all of you said before, like that the pendulum might swing with all of the fast, clippy conversations and all the deluge of information. No. I don't know. I think it might.
Are people going to sit and watch 2-hour movies anymore? Or
I don't know. I think I'm curious to see. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. Well, this is a good way to figure out like the final questions here. Like any predictions, or forget about predictions, because you couldn't even predict. Neither one of us could predict where we are now.
I think
Are there any hopes, things, influences you want to have on the industry? I know you can't. You don't know exactly where you'll be. I'm not going to do the Anna Wintour on you.
Oh God.
But any prophecies, predictions, desires, what you see?
So before Fat Mascara, I wanted to like share the stuff that I was seeing like off the side, like what I was seeing in Desk Sides that I felt like wasn't going in a magazine, whether it was Cosmo or someplace else. What I don't have the answer for this yet. And I'm sorry if I'm not being super clear with, but like I think that's kind of the theme. I feel like what I want to do, and I don't know how this is gonna manifest, but like this I feel like everything's a fast clip right now. Fast. I want to do something about like slowing it down. Yeah. And I don't know what that means. Yeah. But I feel like I want to
let people
get some air.
Yeah. Let people enjoy things and savor them rather than go for the next dopamine rush.
Yeah, and I don't know how that it could be just an amazing curation at Moda that it feels just even more focused, or I don't know, or maybe just more great interviews at Fat Mascara. We'll see. Yeah,
I mean, people always say like, they ask me, they'll ask you. I'm doing it to you right now, like. What's the end game? What do you think? What should that having
end
that?
Game. Like,
no end game. But like what I was pulled the syringe out of my dead hand. But what you want to do is you want to be impactful, and you want to help change the landscape, not do what everybody else has done. And I think we're recognizing, all of us in the beauty world are recognizing the fast pace, the dopamine, the short attention span.
I don't want to add to the noise.
Bingo.
And did I just steal the words from your mouth?
You did. And that's exactly how I feel what I'm doing. I see the changes in clinical aesthetic medicine, and I want to be different. It's like the old Apple ads, like be different.
Think different, yeah.
Yeah, I want to make an impact and do it. And do I know what that is yet? I don't know, but I do know if I'm constantly looking for that, it will fall in my lap.
You can't rush it, yeah.
You can't rush it. We'd love to, and there's no one could ask you. You can't write a lecture on that.
Yeah.
So I think we're both in a very good spot to change the future of beauty, right?
Okay.
I hope we start writing together again in the future or something. I really miss. You used to really say nice things about me and stuff. So,
Ever since I left Bazaar,
now I'm spending my career saying really nice things about her. I think we are both set to control the future of beauty here, and I'm so glad, as always, that we are
small feet.
We are both aligned. And I know also that as much as our trajectories have paralleled each other and gone off in different directions, that I'm very glad to have you as a colleague. And I really want to thank you so much for joining us. And I get to have dinner with you after this, most importantly. So I'm super excited.
Me too.
And all of you, you got to check out more about this gal. If you don't know Moda Operandi, you got to get to that site. You got to watch all the old episodes of Fat Mascara. You may even see me on it. And I think that about wraps it up for episode 1, season 3. I'm so excited about the season. Thank you all for joining, and I will see you soon. So, Jess, I want you to just tell people where to find you, how to see old episodes, and how to reach you.
So you can find me at Jessica Matlin on Instagram and also at Fat Mascara. And you can listen to Fat Mascara wherever you listen to podcasts.